Hello and welcome everyone to the Warhammer Meta Chasers. This is a show we do live each and every Thursday. That is nothing like the Thursday show that happens on the Thursday. This is just the Thursday that we talk about the biggest and best tournaments coming up over the course of the weekend for Warhammer 40,000. My name is Paul. I'm joined by Adam Camilleri.
G'day.
And the Dustin Henshaw is in the background, ever present, making sure this show runs right. He will be back on camera or voice next week. So bear with us as we limp along with just Camilleri and myself.
Nurgle's right has struck down our mogul. He's struggling out there. He's struggling.
It's so bad.
I figure we got our next co-host lined up here.
Yeah, it's good.
He'll pick up the slack.
Need it.
One of the comments, can't believe the show is not popular. It is, that's why we're bringing dogs and cats on, because that's what the internet loves.
Yeah, we got to boost those numbers. There's only one way. No way to do it. Isn't that right?
No, but thank y'all for being here and helping support our niche and listening to us live and after the fact on the aggregators. We do have 3 great events to talk about. One at the behest of a patron and other stuff going on. We got the SoCal Open teams, the Malmo Open. Let me guess where Malmo is. Australia?
No, Sweden. Sweden's the name of Malmo's the name of the city.
Man, getting worse and worse geography as we go on. Toronto Fall Open is the 3rd event we're going to cover. And I'm looking forward to it. Look, some big old changes and stuff got to come up on the Warhammer community site a couple of days ago. So I'm willing to bet that these events are they using the changes? Probably not. I would especially for the teams.
So I had a couple of different events that almost made the cut this week, but Toronto Fall Open is using the new rules as far as I know. 100% I know they're using the new Blood Angels rules and points, possibly. And
even better.
Yeah, so that's 100% why they got in on the makeup there. So of course, things dropping on Wednesday did make the cutoff for a lot of events very rough. I know a lot of smaller events did seem, it was quite a lot easier to, ask your player base, what do you guys want to do? Do you want the new stuff or not? But for some of the bigger ones, especially like the big team event we're doing in Southern California, they definitely would not have had time to adopt that.
I'm a big rip the Band-Aid off type of person, but at the same time, I fully believe that the tournament organizers own all the risk, control the horizontal and the vertical for their event, and also have to keep all the players in mind. So it is perfectly reasonable not to want to put the changes in that happen 3 days before your event, kind of thing. So
correct. Well, I'm always of the opinion TO should just ask their customers, which are the players, and just be like, how many of you are going to be peeved if we try this? And of course, there's people out there who will bring in 3x21 accursed cultists who would be like, please don't. Please.
I'm just putting this out there is that some of our comments are still going to be a little bit in the past, and we'll jump in the future for the Toronto Open. So first one we're talking about is the SoCal Open Team Championship from Del Mar, California. 200 players in 25 teams of 8 going to be competing over 5 rounds. Let's run down what we're going to see there. In the Imperial Super Faction, we have 14 Sisters of Battle, 11 Custodes, 3 Cult Mechanicus, 13 Astra Militarum, 5 Grey Knights, and 7 Imperial Knights. That means over half the teams have gone with Adeptus Sororitas, which is what you might want to expect, and Astra Militarum. So, strong iron horse there coming into effect. Space Marines, 4 Adeptus Astartes, 7 Dark Angels, 3 Space Wolves, 5 Blood Angels, 3 Black Templars. That's low for the Black Templars. Maybe they feel like Dark Angels Gladius over there been holding it down all over the world, taking the preference slot for the Space Marines. In Chaos, we've got 12 Chaos Space Marines, 12,000 Suns, 6 Death Guard, obviously because we're on the other side of the world. It's not Europe.
It's wrong side of the world. Wrong side of the world. Death Guard. Yeah.
10 World Eaters, 11 Demons. Wow. 4 Chaos Knights, almost a split right down even across all the chaos. Doesn't seem very chaotic to me. In Xenos, we've got 14 Necrons, 5 Orcs, 16 Tau, and 6 Votan. Hive Mind, 16 Tyranids, and 4 G-Stealer cults. What? Eldari, 3 Drakari, 6 Eldari, bringing our podium to be Tyranids and Tau at the top. If you put the caveat, the asterisk on the Space Marines being broken up into different factions, at 16 Necrons and Adeptus Sororitas, at 14 Astra Militarum at 13, and then I guess we're going deeper into the podium to the Electrum slot, to Chaos Space Marine and Thousand Suns being in that slot. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 factions in the top
Actions.
4 of this
Yeah.
podium.
Yep. Pretty
Outstanding.
good. Yeah, really, really nice spread there. Really happy to see it. Some outliers. Tau making up huge numbers. Tau and Tyranids in like pole position. Of course, like you said, caveat being that Adeptus Astartes technically have 22 representation. Only 3 teams not taking an Adeptus Astartes variant, but you take them as a whole. There's technically 22. But when you have on our show, when you have 200 or more players, we'll do the top 5 on the faction podium because it's worth going a little deeper, getting a little more stuck in
But those
to
are
the
big
meat.
numbers, though. Those are all like
Yeah,
in the double digits,
exactly right. I mean, only after you get to the 5th place on it or fourth place on our podium do you go below half of teams taking them. Over half took Astra Militarum, over half took Necrons and Sisters, over half took Tyranids and Tau, and yeah, almost all took an Adeptus Astartes. Spicy stuff for. I would have actually expected Chaos Space Marines to be higher. Funnily enough, I would have expected Chaos Space Marines to be one of the the top 2.
because like the cultists are so strong, the double pack
Yeah,
so
and
strong.
I gotta wonder if that's just all the cultists that they were available in California.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess what place are they playing on the team that something else might have
Mm,
bubbled up to take a place of, like, world
exactly.
leaders or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
super
What
aggressive.
exactly right. What role was did they not have or they already had? I mean, there is a couple of space walls there that do something similar, like just putting you in Wolf Jail. They can do some of the other spicy little mechanics there. Another interesting one, really big representation of Custodes. Technically, I am incorrect, and Custodes made the podium. So it should have been Chaos Space Marines, T-Suns, and Custodes in
11
last place.
custodians,
Yeah,
10
because
factions.
they have 11. What's going on there? Like, is that I do know Custodes have a good representation on the west coast of the United States. They have a very strong representation and player base, but still 11 is a lot, boys.
So when I was over there on the West Coast watching some players play, there was a big. I also saw a higher, I guess, um, quantity of custodes. I think they like to play that style of play. Like even
Mm,
the Wolf Jail we're talking about, all the Thunder Wolves, incredibly popular up there, which is that they kind of
yeah,
feel, at least on that side, is like they feel you have to have an answer for it, and maybe that helps influence all these lists that they pick in there because they also know the trait. They all know the train out there as
yeah.
well.
In addition, when you're trying to fill 8 players, you will get to a stage where you just need to make some hard choices. Of course, you're always going to want to have
Four
your
genius that are cults.
yeah, you're always going to want to have your top, your big heavy hitters of the meta. You're always going to want to include some savage lists that'll go out and smash and get big differentials. But as you get there, as you filter down, filling up your 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th slots, sometimes you just need something that'll just put up a shield wall. Hashtag shield wall. And maybe that is where they went to the Custodes. Like, you can play Custodes in a manner where they don't get blown out very often, like they don't give up a lot of points. They very rarely win against a lot of the stronger factions out there, but they can be a bit of a stopper and get some decent 15-5s, 17-3s into some of the top lists. I mean, I don't think Sisters is necessarily one of those, but they do brawl pretty damn well with some of the Horde lists out there, some of the Black Templars out there, some of the Accursed Cultists out there, things of that nature. They do actually hold up not awfully versus those factions.
I got to give some shout out to the folks in the chat. Like I said, I mentioned we do this live, but KR says that custodians can kind of roll with the loss and probably not
Yeah,
eat, without being rolled, not take the big loss.
correct.
I want to say what's
Yep.
up to Steve, Nurgle, Matt, Simon. Good to see you. And the folks, let us know if you are going to these events or playing or what you think about this. I was going to ask, what curveball are the custodians throwing and just that
Mm,
durability of where some list in these events, you're typically playing a differential. It's like you're
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
sometimes just hold on to points, even if the someone puts a list up against you, you think that is can just stomp you. If you can hold on to 5 points, that may be the difference of
it's
your
huge.
team winning
Yeah,
the round, or at least not losing the round. And maybe Custodes can do that, and sounds like that's the case.
exactly right. All right, let's unpack one of the top teams in attendance. Now, it would be no surprise that this is California. So Xenos Petting Zoo has like half the teams or some crap. I don't know.
200 players,
Yeah,
so that's 100% of the no. It's like they're definitely
seven.
an active group, which is so cool to see.
Exactly right. But Kyle Norman was the lovely gentleman who put this event under my nose, and he said, "Yo, it would be so cool if you guys could cover SoCal teams. We were probably going to cover it anyway. 200 players. That's probably good. That's damn good enough to get on our show. But I would not have known which one of the Xenos Petting Zoo varieties to unpack. But this is Kyle Norman's team. This is Xenos Petting Zoo Maleficarum. And the 8-pack sits as thus. We've got Adeptus brings a flame. Absolutely no surprises here. And the list is a little bit surprising for singles, but in teams it makes a lot of sense. 2 Dialogus, the Triumph of St. Catherine, who's just gone up a bunch of points. 2 Immolators, 3 Castigators, 2x10 Dominions, 3 Exorcists.
3.
And then
That's a lot of tanks.
1 unit of 5, 1 unit of 10 Seraphim. This is a freaking guard army. As far as the treads go, there's so much.
Let me go the other way. This is the wave serpents and the fire prisms and the night spinners.
Night spinners, exactly. That's a great comparison. Yeah, because the Immolator is very much like the wave serpents, Castigator is very much like the fire prisms, Exorcist very much like the night spinner. That's perfect. Tau Empire, Retaliation Cadre, Coalstar Commander, Enforcer Commander, Ethereal, 2x2 broadsides. So broadsides going up a little bit in value here. Fire Knife suits, Sunforge suits, and Starsight suits. I can't tell you which gun that is, but they're good apparently.
They got all of them, right? Then you just out 3 different guns. That's all 3 guns.
I think they're missing the flamer suits. I think they got the other. Anyway, 10 Kroot, a single Piranha, 2 Riptides, 3x3 stealth suits, and 5 Vespid. So leaning more on the broadsides rather than going deeper into things like having the 3rd Riptide or the Hammerheads, of course, because it's Retaliation Cadre. Then we've got Dark Angels, Gladius. No surprises here either.
Do you remember? Sorry to jump in, but do you remember how those broadsides were armed?
Yeah, the big rails. Yeah.
Okay.
The rails, yeah, no missiles on them, just the rails all the way. Dark Angels, Gladius, Apothecary, Biologist, Azrael, Judicia, 5 Assault Intercessors, 3x5 Jump Back Intercessors, 3x5 Deathwing Knights, Eradicators, 6 Inner Circle Companions, Repulsor, 5 Scouts, and a Calidus Assassin. Exactly what we have seen everywhere else.
Is that good? People think that's good?
It's good. It's yeah. Tyranids, Crusher, Stampede. So not Invasion Fleet, not Synaptic, not Vanguard, Crusher, which we did see Team USA in the WTC take Crusher Stampede to the World Team Championships in an 8-player team event at the highest level of the game and did very well with it. He's got Old One Eye, a Biovore, 2 Exocrines, and 2 single Lictors, a single Maliceptor, 3 Norn Emissaries, 2 Pyrovores.
All the objectives are theirs.
Yeah, 2 Pyrovores, a Trigon, and a Tyrannofex. So still 1 shooting gun, one long range anti-tank, 2 medium range anti-heavy infantry in the Exocrines, Maliceptor to do, be the response force for when the non-emissaries go out onto their trenders and objectives, and then the Maliceptor can go and support. Trigon for a bit of uppy downy goodness, couple of Lictors, couple of Pyrovores. I like this list. This is good.
I do like the non-emissaries there because you're forced, they go out there, they camp on objectives and just force your opponent to have to react. They have to do something, have to come out into the open most likely, or they're never getting those points.
Yeah. Next up, we have a World Eaters Berserker Warband, Angron, Khan, Lord Invocatus, Master of Executions, who went up for unknown reasons. 10 Jackals, a unit of 10, and a unit of 5 Zerkers. Of course, the 10 or the 5 will get Khan or the Master of Executions, depending on the matchup. 2 Rhinos, 3 regular 8-bound, a unit of 3 and a unit of 6 exalted 8-bound, and 2x2 Spawn. So this list, funnily enough, goes up, was it 15 points on Angron, 10 points on the Master of Executions, and 10 points each on the 2 units of Spawns. This list actually goes up like 45 points, but should be pretty easy to absorb. I think you probably just drop the 5 Zerkers and do something else with those. Next up, we have 1,000 Suns, Cult of Magic, Magnus, a single Infernal Master, Zangor Shaman. So very light here on the Hero Hammer. Pretty much 1 Infernal Master, just taking Arcane Vortex because it's too good to leave at home. A Zangor Shaman for some buffing abilities and stuff like that, doing the Warp Sight and things. Magnus because he's an auto take. Only a single unit of 5 Rubric Marines to, of course, go with the Infernal Master. 3 units of 10 Cultists, 3 Vortex Mutolith Beasts, 3 Forge Fiends, 2 units of 3 Enlightened, and a single War Dog Carnivore. I think this list is sick. He's making a gun line. And this list goes in tandem with the Sisters list, which is all tanks. And this is going very heavy into the tank as well.
I haven't seen a War Dog make its way into 1,000 Suns list in quite some time.
Me either. But then when you've taken your 3 Forge Fiends and your 3 Mutoliths and you have 150 left over, what are you going to take? You can't take any more Cultists. You haven't taken another character to make another unit of 5 Rubrics worthwhile. So you're like, I'll
it's
put
an
in.
excellent choice. OC8 difficult to deal with. I mean,
punches
Notable
extremely
choice.
well. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a great choice. Gene Stealer Cult is up second last with an Outlander Claw, a Jackal Alphys, 2 Calamors and a Saboteur, so 3 lone up characters here which are all very good at like their 60-point profile. 2x5 Acolytes with pistols, 5x5 Acolytes with hand flamers, a single Goliath truck, 1/2/2 Ridge Runners, which is becoming the kind of ubiquitous number we're seeing in Gene Stealer Cults now. 3x5 Jackals, so a bit heavier on the Jackals, but of course your Outlander Claw. 3 Rock Rhinos, tote around all the Acolytes, and then 2x5 Pure Strain Gs of the
If
Gene
we
Stealer variety.
only had anyone on the show that knew what this does.
I know,
Next.
I know, weird. Yeah, we're just gonna have to move on, right? Lastly, we have a Chaos Space Marines Renegade Raiders taking a Baton, which is sick. He just went down in a bunch of points as well. A single Chaos Lord, 2 Dark Communes, 2x10 Cultists, of course, 2x16 Accursed Cultists to go with the Dark Communes. Double Vindicator, which is sick. A unit of 10 and unit of 5 Chosen, a single Forge Fiend, and a single Rhino. And that is the 8-pack from the Maleficarum flavor of the Xenos Petting Zoo. This
I was going to
is,
say that Chaos Space Marines list looks a little light, but when you look at the model count of all that stuff
yeah,
there and how it would
the
be on the board,
bodies.
it's like, nope, not light.
Correct. Still taking 3 battle tanks, double Vindy and a Forge Fiend in there as well. So that's their little skew, I believe. I believe their little skew is to like everyone is going to take a bit of chunk. I mean, outside of the berserkers, the world eaters, pretty much every list here has some kind of durable, high toughness skew to it. The Adeptus Sororitas, triple Exorcist, triple Castigator, the Tau Empire, the broadsides, the Riptides, the single Ghost Keel, the Dark Angels, Deathwing Knights, Repulsor, stuff like that. Very high toughness, very high durability. Crusher Stampede, everything is high toughness, everything has lots of wounds. Skipping over the World Eaters, the Thousand Suns has gone deep into tank profiles. The Gene Stealer Cults has, a bunch of Ridge Runners, 3 Rock Rhinos, and a Goliath. And then the Chaos Space Marines, like I said, have taken double Vindy and a Forge Fiend in addition
And
to.
those Vindicators will catch people kind of slipping a bit because it's like,
Oh,
they can handle one, but nobody wants to get shot by 2 Vindicators. Like
yeah,
they're
and
bound to do something.
correct. And the way I love how this works, I saw a similar list. I can't remember if it was played at WTC or not, but it it was played at the GW Open that we went to recently. It's played at Nova, where a gentleman had max to Curse Cultists, but still had a bunch of Predators and Vindicators. And so it had this yin and yang effect going on, where it would take, you'd actually put a couple of your tanks in reserve because no one would want to get up and start grinding or trying to, no one can really apply pressure on you because you've got all the Chosen and the Accursed Cultists. So they hold all the table for you, and then
Mhm.
Vindies just come on with premium firing lines and start picking things up. I think it works really well together. I'm really excited to see what Chaos Space Marine does after the changes come into full effect. Anything else
Got got
spicy?
got got a comment in the chat that after the points changes, that we'll probably see even more war dogs work their way into the chaos list and
Yeah.
everything because of the point synergies. So,
Yep.
look, those lists are far. Sorry, they may change a bit, but they're
Mm.
far from nerfed or
Yeah.
taken out of commission. I think
Well,
we're just going to see some general innovation.
I think it's is a someone in chat correct me. Is a War Dog Carnivore 150 or 140? I think it's 150. So they're 10 points less than a Mutalisk now. Mutalisk now is 160. So if you're just looking for a pressure asset, save 10 points, go with the Carnivore. But yeah, this 8-pack looks real good on paper. You've got to assume they're going to be working with of course, there's a frontline gaming event, so they're going to have frontline gaming terrain maps and such, which are quite well designed. And so, yeah, it looks like these guys have identified that taking a bit of a mech skew across their 8-pack is going to glean them some pretty good results.
140 currently on the carnivores. What we've got.
140. Yeah, 20 points cheaper. Yeah, 20 points cheaper to take a Carnivore over a Vortex base now. So
So
that might be enough to offset some of the other points increases that Thousand Suns have seen.
so here, and this is the part in the show where we predict which force we think is going to score the highest battle points over the course of the weekend. We would normally pick a faction winner, but in teams event it gets a little more tricky to pick. What a team may win. So we pick a faction that we think is going to pick the highest battle points. I'm going to try to channel the spirit of Dustin and get his pick. We will not necessarily. So when one of us isn't here for one of these events, we go with whatever their normal chosen pick is. Uh, but since this is October, if
Yes.
if we aren't here, then we go with orcs. But since Dustin is here with us in spirit, I will see if we can summon up maybe what
Yes.
pick might be. for him.
Dustin going Nids.
Going Tyranids.
I like that pick. Paul, would you like to go next, mate?
You go next.
I'm going to go guard. Astromil.
Astra Militarum. I think that's a real solid. Oh man, this is tough. Um, you know, I will go. I'm gonna go Adeptus Oritas. Go
Yeah.
super far out there.
Well, I think we've seen so we have made a couple of mistakes in the last probably 2 months of tournament
Oh,
predictions
just
on
two
the show.
months. We're doing pretty good then.
Well, we usually do pretty dang good, but we haven't been picking Sororitas to place highly at team events because in a lot of matchups they will absolutely win, but they can struggle to push some differentials at times, especially against some of the Hordier lists that we've
Well,
seen
and
coming.
they're kind of a really great take all comers list, so they'll get pushed out
Yeah,
into harder matchups
yeah. But
sometimes.
we have shown to be incorrect with sisters consistently making the individual podium at team events for the highest scores. So, yeah, I think that's a good pick, mate.
Well, we're going to go with that and see how it all shakes out. The next event we're going to be talking about is Malmo Wargaming Weekend in Malmo, Sweden. Sorry, I mislabeled that with my geographical
It,
guess.
it does sound like an Australian town.
119 players over a 5-round event. I'll run down what we're going to see there. We've got one Imperial Agents.
Mad
Wow,
lad.
nice. 7 Sisters of Battle, 4 Custodes, 2 Cult Mechanicus, 7 Astra Militarum, 4 Grey Knights, 5 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, we've got 3 Adeptus Astartes, 8 Dark Angels, 1 Space Wolf, 3 Blood Angels, 3 Black Templars. Chaos, we've got 13 Chaos Space Marines, 4,000 Suns, 5 Death Guards, 7 World Eaters, 3 Demons, and 2 Chaos Knights. In Xenos, we've got 7 Necrons, 3 Orcs, 5 Tau, 3 Votan, Hive Mind, 7 Tyranids, and 3 Gene Stealer cults. They're coming out in force. That is
Yeah.
a really good ratio from what we've been seeing. Curious as to why that is. Eldari, 2 Drakari, 7 Eldari, giving us our podium with Chaos Space Marines at the very tippy top with 13. Such auspicious number for this time of the season. Dark Angels at 8, Nids, Necrons, Eldari, World Eaters, Adeptus Sororitas, and Astra Militarum at 7 coming in, tied for 3rd to 9th, 12th, or whatever. Look at that
Yeah,
richness of faction types.
six factions making the same position on the podium is very rare. Like it may be the most we've ever seen in a single one that isn't like just a 50-player event where everyone has 2 or 3 in attendance. But yeah, look at the cliff between the Chaos Space Marines and the next highest Chaos faction in Dark Angels. There's five whole players between them. 5 instances of Chaos Space Marines being taken more than any other faction. So this is wildly chaos heavy, and it just shows that like there's more accursed cultists in Sweden than all of the west coast of the United States. Apparently,
Look, I do like when there's good, strong bad guy factions in the game.
yeah,
Just
me
kind of
too.
the tables seem like sometimes they've made more cinematic.
Mm.
Battles on both sides, even at the top end of tournaments. It's really cool when you see that.
So the only real outlier I could find here is actually Eldari. Eldari, in most so the Eldari super faction in most of the rest of the world, we've seen Drakari catching up or getting parity, even coming ahead of Eldari in some faction breakdowns. But here, Eldari is holding absolute supremacy over Drakari. In addition to them making the podium in the current state of their faction, is looking pretty good for them.
Is there some Yanari mixed in there, or is that just like some pure Eldari forces?
I ain't got that kind of time, but yeah,
Okay,
probably.
I'm assuming there may be like a Scourge unit or 2 in that Eldari
100
force.
100%. You 100% you would assume. You would absolutely assume there was. But yeah, the Chaos Space Marine numbers are just absolutely crazy at Malmo. And I'm assuming whoever picks first is picking Chaos Space Marines. But I looked at a bunch of the Chaos Space Marines lists, and not many of them, I looked at about half of them, and they're pretty much what you'd expect. So I went and did some digging and found us a nice,
All right.
fun list. First up for a list breakdown, we have 2 here. This is Andreas Holm from Sweden. He's playing Chaos Demons. He's got his demonic incursion. I was
You
looking at the
sounded
next guy.
unsure, and we don't know for
Yeah,
sure.
we don't know for sure. So Malmo is on the border. So it's just over the I guess you call it a river, but it's in the ocean. But there's a short gap between Denmark and Sweden, and Malmo is the southernmost Swedish city. So it's very close to Denmark. So it could be Danish. Demonic incursion. Just the big boys. Nothing but greater demons. 2,000 points of them. Bellicor. 2 Bloodthirsters, one with Argath, the King of Blades, Great Unclaimer with the Endless Gift, and Rodigus, so 2 GUOs, 2 Thirsters, and then Kairos and a Lord of Chain with Devastate. So 2 Thirsters, 2 Great Unclaimer equivalents, 2 Lord of Change equivalents, and Be'lakor to tie it all
Love it.
together.
Oh, you need some shadows over there? Let's just bring the shadows with us. This is Shadow of
Yeah,
Chaos gonna be everywhere.
exactly right. This is a very fun list, and it works in a very interesting way. So at WTC, one of the highest, one of the best players in Malta, representing the nation at WTC, took a similar list to this, and the way they were using it is to take fixed objectives, because you do the deep strike into your opponent's backfield with essentially a great unclean one, and or into the middle of the board, and then you drop Rodigus off the great unclean one, and then you have behind enemy lines with 2 characters, and you start pushing the button on recover assets in your opponent's deployment zone for 3 points a turn. And then you kind of just sit there with every other model in your
Wow.
army being in Bellacor's shadows range until they try and stop you, and then you start shooting bloodthirsters at them. And the whole time that's happening, of course, Be'lakor, Kairos, and the Lord of Change are shooting you. But depending on what you're playing, it could be very effective firepower or not so effective firepower. Their offensive profiles do struggle into high toughness, high armor save, armor contempt, stuff like that. But yeah, this is a sick list, and it's built to play fixed. If that would surprise
Love
people.
it. You gotta have to imagine that's on their mind. Like, you don't necessarily just stumble into this kind of list, in a tournament setting. Sometimes you bring
Yeah.
it with intent. And this looks cool. I love a big model, bash list.
Mm.
It seems
Yeah, me
great.
too. I think it's a lot of fun. But anyway, I've got one more list to unpack from this event, because, of course, that one took about 2 seconds. So we have Bjorn Eriksson, who represented Team Sweden at the WTC this year, playing Astromil Lataram.
You wanna take a
And
shot
this,
from where they're from?
yeah, pretty sure they're from Australia. Uh, he's got Lord Solar, 2 Tempestus command squads, a platoon command squad, and 2x10 Catachans, 10 infantry. They have a mortar there, so of course they're going to attach to Solar and the command squad. 2 Chimeras, maximum Bulgrin, which I'm highlighting now because one of the reasons I unpacked this list is that right now this list looks perfect, and it cannot look like this, come Monday, pretty much. Then he's got a Hellhound, 2 Lehman Ross battle tanks, a Lehman Ross exterminator, and 2x10 Scions. So 2 Scion drop packages with the 2 command squads, and then essentially 3 premium battle tanks in the Lehman Russes, or holding all the chunk in the middle with the Bullgrid, a Hellhound for some ignores cover goodness, and then Lord Solar and the buff contingent to keep it all operating at top level. This is a very good Ashton time list for the current singles meta at the moment. And I'm highlighting this because I want us to picture this in our minds, because I believe Ashton time is going to be one of the strongest factions moving into the next phase of 40K for the next couple of months. And
Wow, okay.
this is where we were. This is where we left off. This is almost as good as it gets. Because the only real different archetypes is pretty much this same thing with 2 Dawns instead of the Lehman
It's a
Russes.
little different tanks. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, little different tank in which profiles you want, and especially which terrain you end up playing on. If you're playing on more dense WTC type terrain, the battle tanks get a little better because they can move through more regions and more angles, and they can arrive from reserve more effectively. If you're playing on more open boards, sometimes the Dawns are just straight up better firepower. Any comments on this one, Paul?
No, I agree with everything you said. I think it is a very stout list. I think they kind of cracked the code on what today's Astra Militarum looks like, and this is good.
It's pretty dang good, mate. All
Yeah.
right, time to pick us some winners now. Dustin picked first. You picked last, Paul, so you get to pick first now. I'm already writing Chaos Space Marines in for you. Unless you'd like to be a spicy boy.
Yeah, Space Marine sounds good.
It does, doesn't it? I will go next. I'll pick the Dark Angels because they're second there. Would our erstwhile Rodigus of the stream like to chime in with a pick?
See if we can mystically summon in. Ooh, what is the ether telling us?
Let's just go Tyranids again. Make it easy.
They got good numbers. You just like here to make
Go
sure
with Tyranids.
you don't default orcs. That's it. He got out of bed this morning. He's like, I can't default orcs.
That's the drive that gets us here. See,
Yeah,
we
that's
get
it.
Folks, for on tier 2 or higher on the Patreon, we do an after show to where we go and review our predictions as well as tell you what the top 10 list for the events that we covered were. We actually cover some of the star performing lists from the weekends as well, and we give ourselves some good natured ribbings. And so I think it is very appropriate to try to prevent that by hauling yourself into work this evening.
In addition, the part 2 of this show is a great place to come when the meta starts getting mixed up. We're going to be unpacking a lot of the changes from the results of people taking brand new style 40k after the MFM, the rules changes, and all the other bits and pieces come into effect. So come over and join us on that part 2. It's fan freaking tastic.
Are we abbreviating the field manual now?
The MFM?
Yeah.
Yeah. Minatorum field manual. Or MFM. I don't know.
We talk about it on the FTN this week. Tune in.
We did. What was that? Was that FTN or was that Forge Narrative? Are we abbreviating?
We're dropping acronyms. That's what we're doing. So the next event we're going to be talking about is a local event, not local to us, but local to folks near and dear to our heart. Toronto Falls Open in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. 64-player event, 6 rounds. I like that. I think that we're going to see some rivalries being created and squashed over the course of this weekend.
Now, shout out to Denver Flight Club this weekend, which is also a very large 100-player or more event, of course, happening over in Denver, Colorado. They were going to be on the show. They were going to be in Toronto's place, but Toronto's using the new stuff, and Toronto did the stats for me. So I'm like, I'm sorry, Denver. I love you. Good luck. Enjoy your event this weekend. But Toronto's using the new good stuff, so they're going to get in.
We do cover 2 or 3 events each and every week, but there are there's a lot of 40k events happening out there. But we'd love to hear about it.
We have a bit of a priority picking system. If there are multiple 100+ player events in the same region, we will try and geographically spread out the show. So unfortunately, jumping over Denver because we had a 200-player event also in the United States meant that it behooved us to go get a Canadian event, Australian event, New Zealand event, something like that to fill out the show. So we have Europe covered, we got United States covered, we got Canada covered. We want to make this as geographically complete and holistic a show as possible.
I told them, guys. I told them it wasn't Toronto Falls. I'm sorry. They specifically said they were going to hold that.
I did it on purpose.
Don't worry. On purpose.
I did it. Yeah. It's like the face, the whole front of Toronto's falling off.
I got mixed up. Like, wait a second. What am I supposed to say right now?
No, I know it's Toronto Fall Open, but Toronto Falls Open is just hilarious a name.
Well, anyway, we're going to be covering it, and I hope y'all kill it this weekend. It's going to be awesome. Let's talk about it right now. 64 players, 6 rounds event. Going to be in the Imperial faction, 2 Adeptus Sororitas, 2 Custodes, 1 Cult Mechanicus, 3 Astra Militarum, 2 Grey Knights, 0 Imperial Knights, Space Marines, 3 Adeptus Astartes, 5 Dark Angels, 3 Space Wolves, 5 Blood Angels. Love to see that. 1 Black Templar. Chaos, we have 5 Chaos Space Marines, 4,000 Suns, 1 Death Guard, 4 World Eaters, 3 Demons, 0 Chaos Knights. This is the first time, I think, in a while we've seen 0 in the Knight categories. I'm curious if there are some Knights in the other list. Like, I bet there has to be a Canis there. In the chat, what's up. Let us know if there's a Canis there. And
I left those donuts there so we knew to talk about the fact that this is a Knightless event. Like, there are no people taking Knights as their faction.
It's kind of funny because I'm willing to bet the sun sets early up there right now.
Nice. Where's our snare drum?
Doing my best over here. Now, Xenos, 5 Necrons, 2 Tau, 2 Leagues of Votan. In the Hive Mind, we have 4 Tyranids. Eldari, 3 Drukhari, 3 Eldari, split down the middle like they once were 10,000 years ago.
Well, they knew Dustin wasn't coming, so none of the other GSC players arrived, or they all switched over to play Tyranids.
Given our podium being, look at this, tied at number 1, Dark Angels, Chaos Space Marines, and Necrons. Second place, we got Tyranids, World Eaters, and Thousand Suns. And then we got just a fleet of factions there in the third, giving us the Astra Militarum, the Space Wolves, Adeptus Astartes, and Demons. Eldari and Drukhari all in third place. Pretty impressive. Nice split.
Yeah, nice spread. Nice spread for 64-player event. A couple of the other omissions. There are 0 orcs in attendance at this event. 0 orcs, 0 Genestealer Cult, 0 Chaos Knights, 0 Imperial Knights.
This is why Dustin is in the background right now, because there's not what to be put for orcs.
Like, I'm going to pretend I'm sick. This place doesn't represent me. Fantastic.
Would you pick out some list? What are we going to talk about?
I picked out one list, mate. It's my good mate Frank Coyce. I pronounced his name incorrectly the very first time I read it out on stream, and now I have to pronounce it like that forevermore. That's Francois Lalonde. And he is playing brand new Blood Angels in the Liberator.
Yeah.
And Paul, take it away.
Astorath, Dante, Lamartie's, Mephiston, 2 captains. Digging that. Actually, I'm liking. I think the characters in the Blood Angel list are really stout. Right now, you're seeing Mephiston get some heat, for being 125 points, but I think he's an absolute beast. Someone you can just kind of set on, not on autopilot, but you can control quarters of the board. Astorath, interesting choice there, but loving all this. And then the 2 captains, what are they going to put the captains with? The Assault Intercessors, most likely. We've got 2 Impulsors, 2 Jump Pack Intercessors. I have to imagine that's probably where the captain's going. 2 by 10 Jump Pack Death Company, 5 Infiltrators, and 6 Sanguinary Guard. Curious what the loadout on the Sanguinary Guard are.
I can see if I can pull it up for you quickly, mate.
I'm a big fan of the spears, but curious as to where this champion went, and probably going to have Dante going in there with him, because it's basically magic sauce. So with Lamartie's and Dante coming down out of reserve, you get very, very reliable charges. You put your opponents in basically a real puzzle about what to do, what to screen, and what they have to commit to doing that, unless they have something that you can block out 12 inches or whatever. But you really kind of keep them boxed up as long as you've got those 2 powerhouse units off the table ready to come in.
They have blades, my dude.
Blades?
That could denote he's playing with the older models on the right size bases.
Sure,
because those Sanguinary Guards sold pretty quick. They're worldwide.
Well, they're not even in people's hands right now, so that actually it has to. You're probably right. Swords. I don't think because they went up for pre-order. It was a 2-week pre-order. Look, swords are not bad. I'm just just saying that sometimes, and you can replace what the spears give you with stratagems. So, there we go.
The Death Company have 2 Eviscerators, 2 Inferno Pistols, and 3 Power Fists. What do people complain about? It's still like 5 great weapons. Oh no, they can't all have a Power Fist. Get over yourselves.
Well, the way you build them now, you can get several Power Fists still in the unit, just like you're seeing here, and then an Eviscerator, and that you just have fewer Inferno Pistols.
Yep. How do you feel about? So the first thing I looked at when I saw this, I was like, wow, you're telling me that at least 4 of the unique special characters in Blood Angels are good enough to be taken by a WTC level player. That bodes great for the depth of the codex.
I love it. I mean, Astorath is super strong. Lamartie's incredibly strong. Dante, great. Dante's what I do think is an omission from this, but obviously you can't call it an omission, right? And I think that's going to be a strong include.
Yeah, you broke up a little bit for me there.
Oh, what Sanguiner. Where's the Sanguiner?
Yeah, Sanguiner. Yeah, pretty much. That was the only special character I could think of. Well, is that the only other special character? Is that the only special character we didn't take?
It is.
I mean, he didn't take Tycho, good old Tycho, which it doesn't exist anymore.
You cannot take Tycho anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, pour one out for Tycho. He's off hanging out with Captain Badrock. But the Mephisto, so Sanguinor's the only one he didn't take. And yeah, like I said, that speaks volumes to the depth of the codex and its position at the moment. Astorath with 10 Death Company with Jump Axe, Lamartie's 10 Death Company Jump Axe, Dante with the Sanguinary Guard. That's 3 really, really top tier melee assets. If you'll notice, I suppose with the points changes, usually we would have seen like a Jump Pack Captain and or Jump Pack Sanguinary Priest, which you don't have access to anymore, with 10 Assault Intercessors. So arguably the damage output of this list is still like almost as high as it was. I mean, oh no, you don't have 10 Power Fists. You overkilled everything anyway. Who cares? Yeah. 5 Power Fists is more than 5 Power Fist equivalents is more than enough.
And you can spike it with stratagems too. And
exactly right. So you can see that it's how we talk about horsepower. You know, there's the concept of talking about a vehicle's horsepower, and then how much of that power actually gets to the wheels. That's a good analogy for Blood Angels, because they have so much power, but how much power is actually getting
I like
used?
that analogy. That's really nice. Another thing I like about this list is the two impulsors. I've been a big fan of that kind of going up and choking the middle.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
using those the bodies of those tanks plus the captains and the assault intercessors inside.
Yeah, I really like that package. So a lot of people have looked at that as the baby chosen, because a lot of the time, especially in earlier index kind of space marines, we would see 3x5 chosen with 3 chaos lords. And I'll tell you what, these packages do almost as much damage. I'm interested. I don't know if you knew off the top of your head, but I didn't have quite time to look up what those enhancements were: the icon of the angel and the rage fueled warrior. I mean, you got to assume rage fueled warrior just means he punches more better. He already punches very good. He probably punches even better.
I can check right now. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, flip. Get your book. Get your book.
That's well, I just don't want to get so the rage fueled warrior is not something that I have been taking. Icon of the angel though is absolutely great.
Oh, what's that, buddy?
Rage fueled warrior is once per battle. At the start of the fight phase, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, until the end of the phase, the bearer's melee weapons have the sustain hits 3 ability. So ain't not bad. Icon of the angel is each time this enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles within engagement range of the bearer, unit is selected to fall back. The models of the enemy unit must take a desperate escape test if there was a unit. As if their unit was battle shocked when doing so. If the enemy
Ooh,
unit
I like
is
that.
also battle shocked, that means it's subtract 1 from each of those desperate escape tests.
That's cute. It's a little bit of value. I mean, no one wants to be staying in combat with all. Yeah, no one wants to be staying in combat with Blood Angels. So making a Peter Piper to try and get out of dodge, I like that quite a bit.
Yep. And then Asterath, we mentioned going with those Death Company most likely, has the Redeemer of the Lost on a 4+. Do not remove it from play. Oh, sorry. When this model is leading unit, each time a model in the unit is destroyed by a melee attack, roll a 4. Basically gets to fight on death. So pretty good stuff. And then the Massive Doom giving devastating wounds on the chart.
Indeed. Sorry, my dog's just gone berserk because we got some deliveries. Sorry,
always vigilant.
Sorry for my uncouth setup. I've just moved into a new house. So I haven't quite set up the studio yet, but I really like this list. I think this list is exceptionally good. I love because of course with this list, you don't have to feel no pains anymore to fall back on, as you're like, I'll just make you take both the damage check and the stat check of having to chew through all my units. So now what you want is cheaper trading units, like the jump back intercessors and the 2 units of assault intercessors, to go be the early trading pieces. And so you make people trade with you early on with these small, less valuable things, but still quite explosive. And then you just have these 3 heavy hitters, possibly some arriving from reserve, like you said, rapid ingressing, keeping it in the forefront of your opponent's mind that at any point they can be
reliably. These are things that come down with a +1 to charge or re-roll charges without spending a single command point. That's just free stuff that they get to do, and so it's got to be on your mind. And then also, like with that unit of infiltrators, you basically can put your deployment zone on lock, and so people have to engage you in different ways that they may not want to, giving you a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, and it shows Francois having a lot of respect for the current state of the meta, with so much. Well, the term that being thrown around is uppy downy. So many units going back into reserve, arriving again, back in reserve, arriving again, and like there's plenty of Necron players here, some very strong Necron players also, and of course there's a couple of Grey Knights as well who we know are going to be leveraging that ability. In addition, you got Sisters of Battle, always something you got to keep your mind on, even if they're not super prevalent here. Very important. Of course, Thousand Suns can do similar stuff, similar jank, and of course Tau can do similar jank. So I do believe, like in a singles meta right now, Infiltrator should almost be making like 80-90% of your Space Marine lists.
There we go. That's the one list you brought out for this time. So, what are we going to pick some winners here this event?
Well, I'm picking first because I haven't gotten to pick first yet, and Dustin's picking last because this is his backyard and he probably knows exactly who's going to win. But I'm picking Francois. I'm picking the Blood Angels.
No.
No. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm not sorry.
See that? Look, I've been robbed. I've been stabbed in the back.
No, I'll give it to you, mate. I'll give it.
No.
To you.
What the public just saw was a public execution right here.
Delicious.
No, I'm just messing with you. It's it's how the
Well,
game
so
is played.
it's going to be
Uh,
interesting because this is very possibly Blood Angel's first time using the Codex, outside of their garages for a lot of people. So I'm picking Blood Angels, but it is a little bit of a risk because I mean people won't have the proficiency with this
does
list that
that
I had with the previous one.
does
And
that
if you
lock down
play,
all Space Marines?
no, not at all, not at all.
I'll take Dark Angels.
Ha, my man. So, and if you score more points than me on it, I look like an absolute goose right now. So I see what you're doing there, mate.
No, you're exactly right, though. This is the first kind of like real public outing of the Blood Angels
mm,
this particular weekend. I guess if folks are allowed it because it I think everything went up for pre-order and it gets in people's hands that didn't have the special edition like
yeah,
the Saturday,
this
the day
Saturday.
of.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that they did just pull the Band-Aid off. Obviously, you just got FAQs and some points and stuff. So it's complete as far as we are from the match play. But this will be.
Mm,
I'm really curious to see what builds people create. I've got some ideas. We'll see how my ideas stack up. It's in that great time of that
yeah.
brand new Codex
The
feel. So
brewing, the cooking. Yeah, I love it.
yeah,
Dustin, what would you like, mate? Sky's going? Okay, fair.
Dustin going with Drukari.
Only 3 in attendance. That's why if you are local to the event, we make you pick last because stuff like that.
Oh, normally this part of the show we would have a silly segment. We don't have that this week, but we'll be back next week with maybe 2 silly segments.
2. Double the silly. Double the segment.
Silly segments next week. Yeah. We'll have a double palate cleanser at the end of it. That means we have to make the first part of the show even more stat heavy and crunchy.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I can do it. I have the technology.
Oh, this is not a challenge. I know you can do it.
It's too late for that, Bob. It's too late.
But this part of the palate cleanser, we definitely have enjoyed hanging out. And Dustin, thank you so much I know y'all can't hear him, but he's back there making sure we have not hit any buttons this
No,
entire time. This
we
has all
haven't
been
touched anything.
Dustin
Yeah,
doing it.
Dustin just
I
flowing
appreciate
us
it.
through.
If you've made it this far in the show, please consider subscribing. Subscribing is completely free. It's a hassle-free way. The comments, the thumbs up, all that kind of stuff. It really helps us, spread the word about what the channel is doing, what we're doing here, and maybe convinces some people to come and watch it live like we do each and every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. If you're listening to us on the podcast aggregators, that means a lot too. You listen to us after the fact. It isn't live, but hopefully you feel like you're with us because we do. We feel like you're with us. uh, hit the 5-star reviews and all that stuff.
Mm.
That is the lifeblood. That's what fuels us. That is what tucks us in at night and keeps us all snugly warm. Uh, that's our show this week. Had a blast
Me
talking about
too,
these
man.
big tournaments all over the world.
Been a good time, mate. And hopefully you were getting out there, moving and shaking, enjoying some 40K. About to have a bit of not quite a Brave New World, but we're definitely going to have a refreshing of the meta. And I'm very excited to see where we go
Can
from
we
here.
can we talk briefly before we wrap up about this, some of the changes and stuff? I
Oh,
mean,
for
we are
sure.
in
Yeah, yeah.
a
Do it.
real good spot right now, and I do think that
Mm,
some of the tweaks, is what we're seeing as points and stuff like that, is probably just going to further help that. Where these faction podiums that we're looking about we're going to be tied for, you know, 26th with going 5 factions deep, which is
exactly
interesting.
right. So there are some factions that I predict to do very well coming out of these changes. The biggest 2 changes is that we've had significant hits to sisters, but I don't think sisters are going to completely fall off the meta. I believe they're going to still retain quite a strong position. But Thousand Suns has taken significant changes and will need somewhat of a reinvention because there's a lot that they need to try and manage now and juggle. So very keen to see what Thousand Suns players brew from here. Tau, I think, came out of this balance slate, this MFM looking extremely potent. A lot of their major predators in the meta got significant hits. So I expect Tau to do quite well, even though they had very minimal changes. And Death Guard, I am so keen to see what Death Guard can do. I don't know if Death Guard are going to rise up to the top of the meta, but I want to see them doing real good
Well,
results.
we've seen Death Guard players, incorporating all the predators and stuff like that, making their way into the list, and that's probably not going to change. And I like what you said there is that some of the maybe the top performing list that were holding back in the middle rounds
Mm,
may be facing some changes, which will allow some breakthroughs to happen. And then you didn't directly say it, but we're thinking it. These lists still have to play the missions, and Thousand Suns are going to get thin on the missions, and so they're going to have to figure out ways to still live in this world where you have to be in different parts of the table doing things. Are they going to build lists that focus more towards fixed objectives where they can control some of that? That's the kind of the calculus these generals are going to have to be performing, and I'm very excited to see how it all shakes out.
But my ring-a-ding-ding, Adam's biggest winner, I think, from the points changes is actually Chaos Space Marines.
Oh,
I reckon not only has Chaos Space Marines are able now to pivot into a very powerful new type of MSU skewed list, but also the biggest predators they would have had in doing so have now been removed from the meta. Well, so disincentivized. So I think our Space Marines are extremely well poised. And then the only one better than that is Guard. I think Guard are absolutely going to do
mention the Astra Militarum.
Incredibly powerful things. They I think are the biggest overall winners from what's happened to other factions. Yes, they did cop quite significant changes themselves, but when we talk about, like you said, Paul, the predators, their hard matchups getting kind of shoved out of the way, so they have a clean run. I think Guard is poised to have that big run for the next 3 months.
Well, those are some out there predictions. We'll see how it shakes out over the next couple of months. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank y'all for tuning in live. Thank y'all for tuning in after the fact on the aggregators. Do all that stuff. Hit the buttons for the show. We love it. Dustin, Adam, it's been a pleasure. Y'all in the chat. We'll see y'all next week, everybody.
See yous. Bye. Say bye, Hobie. Say bye. Good boy.